Alright everyone, so in this video what we are going to learn here is to create an action in Flow Designer in order to send a request to a third-party APIs so we can get the response, and once we have the response we're going to pass the response, and later on I will be showing you how we can store the passed response into our COVID-19 table. Okay, so the goal here is to have the daily updates. So if we have cases, how many cases that we have for today for all countries. So let's create for an action in Flow Designer. So look for action here, click on create, and give it a name for your action. I'm going to put here get daily summary Corona API. So this is kind of the API that I'm using. Click on submit, and the first part of the action is basically send a request and a REST request specifically, and select here connection is going to be define connection inline, and this is our endpoint. This is the URL that we are going to use in order to get all the result. So the base URL is basically will be https corona-api.com, and the countries I will put in the resource path. Okay, so and let's have some headers here, and I will have content type application JSON. So that one here, and then let's give it a title. So it's going to be, for example, get summary 1. Then enable to try policies, save your changes, and then now we are going to create our script. So basically the script will be parsing the response. Okay, so parse summary 1 response body. This is going to be the title, going to have two input variable. The first one is going to be status code, and the second one is going to be response body, where we will have all our response. Okay, so I'm taking the data fields and just dragging and dropping into the value section. So the first thing in my script here is to create an array. So I will have a summary 1 array which will have all the result, and then I'm going through the condition, the basic condition that we have to test if the response is successful or not. We are going to check if we have a status code 200. If yes, execute everything that I have inside my inside the curly brackets of my if condition. Okay, so here the first thing what we are going to do is to parse the response. Okay, we have a response in our response underscore body variable. That's the input variable. So var response body, I'm creating a variable, another one, which will basically contain all the parsed results. So I'm going to have here, for example, json.parse, and then inputs.response underscore body. So I'm going to parse the response body and put it in my response body variable so I can use it later. So then I'm creating a for loop, and I will be explaining you why we need a for loop. Okay, basically if you see the JSON response that we get from the third-party APIs, we're gonna get an array, and we have specifically there a data variable which is an array variable which contains all the result for all countries. So this is the reason why I'm using here a loop, and I'm going to loop into the array. So I have a data array here. I have only the result for Afghanistan, but if you have the result for multiple countries, you will have the same structure for every, for example, for another country, for India or Pakistan, you will have different, like the same structure will be repeating. So I'm using the array, and I'm going until the end of the length of that data arrays. Okay, so not end of the length, I'm taking the length, I'm going until the entire length. So that will be my loop. In my loop I will have first thing is to create an object. So var summary 1 object, and that object will have two specific values here. We will have confirmed cases and then recovered cases. Summary one object dot confirmed will have what we have in the response body we for confirmed cases. So response body, then data array. So we will specify for which we put the I variable here. So for data 0, for example, which is Afghanistan, for example, and then we will go to latest underscore data dot confirm. So latest underscore data is one of the object that we have in the JSON response. So this is how we can take the data from our response, okay, from the JSON response. So let me show you what we have here. We have latest underscore data. This is in our data, this is in our data object, and then we have all the confirmed cases, recovered cases, and so on. So this is how we can get to that result. So response body dot data I dot latest underscore data confirmed cases. Okay, we are going to do the same thing for recovered cases. We are running a loop. In each iteration we are going through the array that we have here, and data 0, data 1, data 2, data 3, data 4, data 5, data 6, so on, and we are taking the confirmed cases number, recovered cases number. It will correspond, and the result for it will have for each countries, and we are creating an object for that, and that object it is our summary one object. Okay, so we'll have for the entire loop we are creating objects. And not only that, once we have created the object this is the first 3 line that we have, and the 4th line that we have here is summary one array will contain that object. We take that object, we are sending, each time we are creating an object we are sending to the array that we are having. Summary one array will have the first object, and then summary one 0 will have the first object. Summary one array 1 will have the second object. Summary 1 array 2 will have the third object, so on. We are storing all the object into an array. And the last thing what we have to do obviously is to have our outputs. As we have our input, which is the response body in the beginning, we're going to have an output which is going to be a summary one output. That's the one that I'm creating, which will have the entire array. So we will have that array which will have all the objects inside. Okay, this is the entire script basically to parse the response that we have, and then creating an outputs as well. For the reason why we are creating outputs, because we want to use that later, okay, in our script. So here I'm creating the summary one output variable. It's an array object which will have summary one object, which is an object, and then which will have confirmed cases, okay, which is in our case here is an int type, and I will have also recovered cases. It's also an int type. Great, we have created our output variable for the parse step. Now what we have to do is basically creating an output variable for our action. Okay, so let's do that. So click on output and create output. So we are going to just repeat whatever we have written in the parse step for the output variables. We are going to do exactly the same thing here. Okay, array object, summary one object, and then confirmed cases, and then recovered cases. And we are going to use the data pair that we have here on the right side. If you can see here, the summary one object that we have here, we are going to just drag and drop into this output variable. Okay, so we have done pretty much with that. So click on exit mode and then drag and drop the pair. Great, so we have done pretty much with the script, and I have made some mistake here. I just need to delete one additional curly brackets that I have here, so it's just deleted that, and then now we can test our action. So click on test, run test, and see the result. So this is the result that we should get.